everyone. I'd like to welcome all of you back to Ohio Exopolitics. I'm your host, Mark Snider. We've got a special guest tonight who we haven't heard from in a long time. It's Tolec. And let me bring Tolec on the air as soon as... There we go. Tolec, how are you this evening, sir?
Hey, Mark, how are you? Good to hear your voice again.
Yes. How have you been? You've... I don't even know. Has it been a couple of years since you've been out of the circulation?
Oh, no. I don't actually remember the last time that you and I did one of these together, but I've been doing them with many other people across the globe, and recently I've done some on my own without having a host interview me. So it's been an evolution, but it's been enjoyable.
Well, didn't you? You went kind of quiet for a while, didn't you? A couple of years, I thought.
2013. The early middle part of 2013, around February through the middle part of the year was a very, very quiet part for me. And then I picked up activity quite a bit, actually, in October, November, and then January of 14. 14 was pretty busy for me. Actually, very, very busy, and it's been a busy 15 as well. So, with 2013, I went from living in the general Tucson metropolitan area, and I moved farther north into the higher desert of Arizona. And so that move and subsequent other changes created just a lot of change in my life. So that's kind of what happened in 2013. Just had to take care of life stuff.
I've been Arizona twice since we've talked last. I went up to Munns Park and visited Munns Park for a while. And
right next to Flagstaff, I believe.
Not very far. Flew into Flagstaff both times. Yep.
Okay. And where else did you go?
Well, I'm trying to. This is so bad. It's that beautiful. I stayed there last time I was up. It's that beautiful little town. It's right when you come down the mountain from Flagstaff, with all the standing red rocks.
Yes, Sedona.
Sedona, of course. Why can I not remember that name?
That's where I've been living, just kind of outside of Sedona in the past year and a half or so, yeah. Not in Sedona proper, but outside of that in a little town. It's been very, very quiet, very much out in the desert, far more animals and cactus than there are people, that's for sure.
Well, there was some bad fires up there, weren't there? What
not
is that
affected me.
No, but kind of near Flagstaff. You know that winding road when you go up the mountain in Flagstaff, that beautiful...
Yeah, 89A. Yeah, matter of fact, the Slide Rock right in Sedona had some fires.
Yeah.
That wasn't good. But I don't live anywhere near uptown Sedona. I'm kind of off in the wilderness, so it didn't affect me at all. Well, it wasn't an issue, fortunately.
Now, how far are you from like a grocery store?
Oh, not that far. I've got a Jeep kind of 4-wheel drive vehicle, so I can just hop in the car or hop in the vehicle and go for a ride. And I can get to a grocery store in about 12 to 15 minutes. It's not too bad.
That's pretty close.
But yeah, it's definitely I'm definitely off the beaten path. There's more deer and javelina and cactus than there are anything else.
But that's peaceful.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah, there's an exceptional calm and peace.
I live right next to a state park here, and
I remember.
About 3 or... First of all, if I go back to January when we had the horrible snows, there were two poor little cats that, I don't know, somebody just left out there. So I kind of adopted those, and I have two big dogs, so I'm not the best person, but I'm really enjoying the cats. And then about 3 weeks ago, we had a raccoon show up on the front porch. So I literally had one of the sheriffs help me get rid of that guy. And today, we had a 4-foot king snake up on the front porch. Wow. And I got one of these, it's like a basket, but it expands, and it's almost like a little canvas thing. And I had a rake that had a plastic top on it, and I managed to get it to go into this basket thing, and then I kind of ran off with it over in the farmer's field about 50 yards and dumped it off. So I've had some weird experiences.
I expected to see some snakes, given what the very few people around me had told me about. Didn't see any snakes. Deer. I call them my local commuter deer because they would come out early in the morning and do some munching. Fortunately, I had a little garden in the backyard, and I had protected that so I couldn't get to the garden. But
we have a lot of deer. We have a lot of deer too. Particularly, I'll put food out for them in the winter and stuff because the winters are really hard.
Right.
But yeah, it's beautiful. I saw about 5 or 6 the other morning, kind of walking, on the side of the property. I appreciate being out here, but the snake wasn't too fun. The raccoon wasn't too fun either. I preferred them to keep a little distance from the house.
Yeah,
I love animals,
I came outside one morning in March. Was walking to my dirt driveway to hop in my vehicle, head off to work, and there's this small buck with antlers, and he's standing there eating. He looks up at me, and he's like, "What are you looking at? I'm eating. Leave me alone." He goes back to eating. I'm like, "Hey, this is my place. Go find someplace else." But he just stood there. He didn't even leave. I got in the vehicle, started it up, drove away. He just went back to eating.
That's
and
good.
I'm out there. I'm way out there, and there's nobody else. I mean, the closest person to me is 3 or 4 football fields away.
Wow. Yeah, I love it when the deer come around and eat and hang out. I like the deer a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm just glad we still have places, with wildlife and whatnot. Because that's one of my concerns is we're destroying so much of the wooded areas at an alarming rate, too. And I think we don't realize really what we're destroying. It's a shame. Don't you agree, though?
Yeah, there's been many abuses of this planet by corporations, by companies, by firms, by people. If you think about what we've been doing with garbage and trash.
Oh, yeah.
Go back to the early part of the industrial age. Now, I wasn't around in the early 1900s, but think of all of the pollution that has been dumped into this planet since, 1900 or so. Now we fast forward to today, and we've got a better handle on it over here in the U.S., but Chinese, it's off the charts, the amount of pollution that they're dumping into their environment, into the water, into the air. It's horrific.
Yeah, I've heard it.
They're not the only people. I mean, there's still a lot polluting, but we've done a better job in this country, in the U.S., in getting a handle on what to do with the waste that we create. But still, even as remote as I am, I'll go for a walk down out my place and down this dirt road, and I'll go out to the main road, and I'll see soda cans, the plastic things.
Yeah.
Laying on the side of the road, I see soda cans occasionally, plastic bags. Those damn things are blown all over the place from the grocery stores. Geez, don't people care enough? Cups, cups from a place like McDonald's or any other place like that. People stop drinking, they throw the cup out the car window. I'm still amazed at how many people do that.
Well, haven't some of your off-world friends talked about things like this?
Not really. The only context that we've discussed about this planet is this time of change that we're in and that we'll continue to be in for a while yet. And it's a time of transition as Mother Earth goes through whatever processes are necessary to cleanse herself. It's very much like a pregnancy where a woman goes through certain changes in her body before giving birth to a new life. In this case, Mother Earth is going to be rebirthing herself as a higher density world. I'm not going to get into the definitions of density or dimension, but it's interesting that you bring this topic up because I was addressing this topic back in 2011, all of 2012, and there are far many people now talking about the transformation that's going to be taking place on this world in the very near future. And they're using almost the same words I did, just a few years ago. So there are a lot of people waking up both in terms of consciousness and awareness in terms of what's going on with this planet. And this is a time of transition. If you or anyone is curious and wants to find a way to confirm what I'm talking about, just go ahead and do your own research. Go to the USGS website and look at the high frequency, the high number of not only low magnitude but high magnitude earthquakes around the globe that's happening today. I can tell you categorically, today compared to what I was starting to look at in the late 2010, all through 11 and 12, I used to see a few earthquakes in the U.S., pretty much clustered in California, and then some up in Alaska, and then a few off the coast of Russia and Japan. I'm now seeing earthquakes of all magnitudes going off the complete rim of fire, all the way from the southern tip of South America, all the way over to the far opposite side of Indonesia and Micronesia, reaching down into across into Australia. Enormous number of earthquakes. And there have been volcanoes popping off in the past couple of weeks, a bunch of them. So I can tell you categorically, based on what I've learned from my Andromeda Council contacts, that there's an enormous amount of magma flowing under the planet right now, and it's part of the change, the pregnancy, if you will, that this planet has and is going through, part of the cleansing that she's going through as she gets to birth herself as a higher dimensional world. That's the only context that I've had in terms of the healthfulness or healthiness of the planet that I've had with my people.
What kind of contacts do you have with the Andromeda Council? Is it only telepathic, or do you occasionally get to meet with them face to face?
I meet with them many times when this physical, organic human body is sleeping. My higher dimensional self, that sliver of me that is animating this human body, that sliver of me leaves the body and it goes up onto the Andromeda Council biosphere. the primary one, and others as well, but especially the primary one because there's a lot of meetings that are held there, and I attend a lot of those meetings. And I should note, I'm doing this from memory, that there are, for lack of a better description, floors designated for 3D organic people, upper 4D and 5D people, 6D, 7D people. There are floors designated for people of those vibrations that can come and visit, diplomatic work, etc. It's a busy place. Think of think of the UN. It is very much an intergalactic, interstellar United Nation. And this is, I'm glad we're talking about this because I was asking them this question recently, and it was an interesting answer. I said, okay, we here on Earth, the few people that have had or have contact with you of the Andromeda Council, we know of you down here as the Andromeda Council. What do the ambassadors and diplomats and of council people that come from the star systems, like that are the senior member planets of the Andromeda Council, what do they call the Andromeda Council? Because keep in mind, these star systems and member planets are people who come from their home planets in both the Milky Way galaxy as well as the Andromeda galaxy. They come from places, from both those galaxies, and they come from places such as Arcturus. I'm just going to name the star system: Arcturus, Antares, Procyon, Vega, Capella, Deneb, Tau Ceti, and there are a few others. And these people are all different dimensional people. They're all 4D, 5D, 6D. The Arcturus people are 9D people. In any case, to get to my point, I asked the question, what do you guys call the Andromeda Council? And so I waited for a while, and they said, we call it the Galactic Alliance Council, like Intergalactic Alliance Council. I went, oh, okay, and it kind of made sense to me. They gave me some images to convey how this name would come about. I went, oh, okay, all right. And then I asked them about this the Sphere Alliance that the secret space program people, that good E.T. Corey XG is aware of. And my people called it the Strategic Sphere Alliance. Pretty close. And I've observed that a lot of the information that this gentleman, good E.T. XG Corey, that his contact people, the Blue Avian people, are telling him, a lot of the information lines up with what I've been learning over the years. And I see, because a lot of people still write to me and they point out things that he's saying compared to things that I'm saying, and I'm pleasantly surprised to see how much of it lines up. And I always find that, it's really beneficial for me to have independent third-party confirmation. People come forward and go, hey, do you realize that this guy is saying this? He's talking about the higher dimensional, higher density shift of the solar system of the planet Earth. No, I didn't realize he was saying that, but he is. And he's actually talking about spheres. Now, we call them biospheres, but he's talking about many spheres, hundreds of them being located either around Earth space or all throughout Earth's solar system, as it helps this planet to go through this time of transition and higher density transformation. Like, that sounds really familiar. And, there are other people out there. There's guys like, I was just talking to him, Ray Kosalandich and Mark Kimmel and others who have learned very, very similar information. Again, the words may not always be exactly the same, but the concepts are very, very similar. The overlay is really, really close. So I know it's a long answer to how, but I'm happy to say that after doing this for 4+ years, a lot of the information I'm learning has been independently confirmed by other people who are learning very much the same kind of similar information. So to get back to the question as a center point, I go up that slice of my spiritual essence form that occupies this body, leaves the body when I'm sleeping at night, goes back up on the Andromeda Council biosphere. I've been picked up, better use of words. I've been picked up physically and been to a few of those meetings. I only remember a couple of them. I understand that I've been taken, the wrong word again, but I've gone up on the biosphere many, many, many times, and they simply choose to instill a memory block, essentially, so I'll stay down here and live my life. Because, if I remembered all the things that I enjoyed while I was up there, I probably wouldn't want to be down here, because Earth life is a real challenge. I don't believe that this life that we have should be this hard. I've had a good life. It's been enjoyable. There's been great diversity in it, but it's been a very, very challenging life. It's been tough.
What do you think?
I'm sorry I interrupted.
What do you think is the hardest part of your Earth life?
I have many friends who followed a traditional path of life. School, education, dating, college, marriage, 2.5 kids, working for a firm or 2 or 3 firms or a company or 2 or 3 companies, working toward retirement. My life has not been traditional like that at all. I've had a great diversity in my career. It's been very enjoyable. But I think that when I chose to come down to this planet this time around, I chose to have a lot of challenges, a lot of lessons, so that I would ultimately get to the place where I could be the kind of person who could do the kind of Tolec work that I'm doing and have been doing since 2010. But it hasn't been. It just hasn't been an easy or predictable life for me, not compared to the relatively stable lives of my close friends back in the Northeast. And most of them, the ones that I grew up with through my college years, they're mostly back there and, married with kids, and their lives are very, very predictable. There are not a lot of people who leave New England and go other places. I mean, there's some, but a lot of them stay there. Because
I have a call.
My life is... Go ahead.
I have a caller here. I don't know if they're just listening or that they wanted to ask a question. Are you open to a few questions?
Sure, as long as it's about the information that I'm learning from the Andromeda Council, I continue to. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, 804, did you have a question, or are you just listening?
Yes.
Just listening?
Yes.
Okay, 804, I'll put you back on mute. I've got another caller here. 831, did you have a question for Tolec?
Hi, Mark. This is Astrid.
Astrid, how are you?
Good. How are you? So we just, psychically talked to each other over Skype, and you told me Tolec was on. Hello, Tolec. How are you?
Hi, Astrid. Good to hear from you.
Good to hear from you, too. I have not heard the beginning of the show. I'm sorry, I don't know the topic. I got psychically called in, as you know how those things go. So I was just suggesting to Mark over Skype, give me 5 minutes to catch up with the conversation, and let's hear Tolec once again. I'm so happy to hear from you again. How have you been?
I'm good. As I was just saying to Mark, my life has certainly been challenging and interesting. I will say, never a dull moment. That's for sure.
And I'm sure that's exactly what you're telling other people tonight. Like, you got to catch up with things to make things happen.
Well, this is an amazing time. I feel really blessed. I'm not, and as I was describing to Mark how different my life has been, I wasn't complaining. I was just saying it's been challenging and it's been very different, but I feel really blessed to be here on this planet at this time, watching the evolution of this world, all of the things that are taking place.
Wow.
It's an amazing time to be here. And
good for you. Good for you.
Yeah,
I woke up this morning and I was having this brain fart talking, like part of my brain was saying, okay, what part of the neurofunctions is actually mechanically, co-creatively imaginative, and what parts are actually introducing information to our reality, right? Because like this little ET I woke up and I had this little ET being from another planet in my bedroom, and I was asking my brain all these mental questions whilst this ET was kind of validating the fact that, yes, in fact, he was in my bedroom. So I guess it's no surprise we have you online tonight. I'm so excited. I'll hold back. I'll listen into your show. I'm very excited to hear you, Tolec, and I've been thinking about you. Good to hear from you again, and thank you, Mark, for being psychically open.
Okay. Do you want to go, Astrid, do you want to go back on mute, or did you want to...
Yeah, go ahead. Do your show. I'll mute. Mark will mute me, and I'll just listen in.
Okay. Interesting. I haven't heard from Astrid for a while either.
Astrid had a little ET. I get the sense that he was a little it was a little ET in a room.
I had the same thought too. Did she say that? I don't know that she actually said that. Maybe she did.
No, I don't. Yeah, it's just the way she described it. I hope that it was a good experience and either a nice or benign ET. Just for the record, I've never ever had any bad experience. Ever.
That's good.
Ever. So I feel blessed in that regard, and I've learned a lot just in the past couple of years. There are people who ask me questions to ask of my contacts, and every once in a while I'll sit down and I'll go, hey, what about? And so I'll ask them my own questions, and I've learned that I'm not sure if I'm going to recite the years correctly, but because I learned this information about 8 months ago. I've had contact ever since I was 5 years old. Now, I became kind of like conscious of doing this work in late September of 2010, and all of this information started to come back. But they told me that they've been communicating with me in person in a variety of ways, like at age 5, age 10, age 12, I think age 17, and then it jumped to like age 28, 30, 32, 35. They've had ongoing contact with me, and I'm like, really? Because a lot of I just don't remember. But now recently, since 2010, I remember a lot of it because they just keep me busy.
Now, when you're on the ship with just your spirit form, what do they see?
They are my own contacts. They are probably because they're going through an evolution as well. They're at like the mid to upper 5D level now because of the transformation they've already gone through. And so, likewise, because my original spirit essence form is from the planet Dakote. And that planet right now resonates at like the mid to high 5D level. They see essentially a 5D human who looks, and I'll put this in Earth terms. I would look about 7 feet tall, Native American looking, dark hair, dark eyes, because the planet Dakote is the planet of Genesis, the Genesis planet for the Dakota, Lakota, Nakota, Apache, Comanche, Cherokee, and a whole bunch of other native peoples throughout not only the U.S., but across the globe. There are a lot of planet Dakote people who came here and settled here, to use an Earth expression, around the time of Lemuria. And they migrated, when it went down, they migrated to the eastern shores of Asia, Japan, outer islands, and then over to the western coast of what's now the U.S. and Canada. And it's no surprise that, if you look at people all across, if you look at a lot of native peoples, they have a similar look in certain regions. But you were going to ask a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, did the people from Dakote, did they come here on ships?
They did. Yeah.
So they had a high technology during the time of Atlantis and Lemuria then.
Yes, they did. Yeah. And they from what I remember, they cloaked, wrong word, but they cloaked their technology. They made sure that when they were on this planet and interacting with the indigenous natives in a certain area, that they didn't make known their technology. And they were apparently a group of teachers, engineers, scientists, sociologists. I don't have the report that I wrote in front of me, but I'm doing this off the top of my head. I think 200 plus people, roughly, that emigrated from Dakote to come to this world to experience the raw beauty of it, and to, just like anybody else who is a pioneer, they wanted a pioneer life. But yeah, even back then, they had advanced technology.
What time frame were they here? 75,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago, 50,000? When did they come here first? I'm going to say about 100,000 years ago. And interestingly enough, I was just doing a conversation with a woman who's a contactee that I've known for a few years, but she hasn't been public. She hasn't been out there in a while. Her name is Adona. And she and I were talking about her knowledge of who the first souls on this planet were as compared to who they are today. And when was the first immigration of souls from other star systems and worlds? And I'm noting and remembering that what she said was about 100,000 years ago, people who had been observing this planet decided to start coming here and experiencing lives here. And so the rough numbers are about 70 to 75% of the souls that are inhabiting and animating human bodies on this planet today, they are original, for lack of a better description, they are original Atlantean souls that were, and actually, I also learned that the original Atlantean souls that had that great civilization, they were not originally from Earth. They came from another star system a long time before. Sure.
And had established their own civilization here. And because of the, so I'm almost done. Because of the manipulation on the part of who's called the Anunnaki, the Sirius people from Sirius B, as well as the Draco reptilians, there's been a reincarnation because of some kind of a matrix kind of a programming into these souls that were originally Atlantean. Apparently, they got fooled, and they've been in a reincarnation cycle on this planet up through today. And so you've got about 25% of this planet of people who were originally off-planet, off-world, other star systems, about 100,000 years ago came here. And apparently the rest of the souls that are on planet, about 70% of them are what would be considered original Atlantean souls. It was an amazing conversation. I'd never heard that before.
So, 100,000 years ago, people from the planet Dakote came here. Did they die on the Earth and then enter into the reincarnational patterns here on the Earth, or did they go back home, or how did that work?
Yeah, no. They at that time, when they migrated over, they were still 3D people. They were 3D organic people like you and I are today. And they also had their own soul essence from the planet Dakote, where they were birthed. Because if you look at the concept of God or soul, best analogy, we're kind of like, if the ocean is God, and this is a simple analogy, but if the ocean is God, we are drops of the ocean. And of course, there have been a lot of people that have described this phenomenon, but essentially, it's like there is the creator. Then there are like small gods, G-O-D-S, and those would be like creator godlets, still higher dimensional beings. And then there are large soul groups, and it kind of breaks down from there. And apparently, the people who live here on the planet today and have for years, the soul that animates the physical body here, except for those Atlanteans, the souls that animate the physical bodies here, it's like a pizza pie. Let's say there's 16 or 18 pieces of a pizza. There's only like one or two slices of that soul pizza that animate this body at any given time. The rest of our pizza soul is out living other dimensional existences in other places on other planets simultaneously. Because once you get beyond an organic life where there is time, it's all the same. It's not linear at all. There's essentially no time. So 4D, 5D, 6D, it doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter in terms of evolution, but there's no more awareness or management of time. So your higher dimensional essence, while it occupies a human organic body, only a small part of it does. And you're out there, out in the cosmos, doing other things. It's amazing. It's been amazing what I've learned about the knowledge of what is, in fact, the human soul.
So, if your spirit form or your soul came here 100,000 years ago, did you die on the Earth in previous lives and then reincarnate on the Earth as well?
Good question. I honestly don't know if I came with that first group of 200 some odd people. I don't know. I do know that I'm originally from, my soul essence was originally birthed on Dakote. I have family members there. I have family members up on any number of ships. I've actually met a woman who is also from the planet Dakote, down here on this planet. And in talking to Thomas Hughes,
Yeah.
He knows a couple of people. He knows a couple of people who are also from Dakote, which is kind of interesting. He told me, like, I don't know, 7 or 8 months ago. He goes, "Hey, I met some guys, and they were talking about their knowledge of their existence over in Dakote and what they experienced." I do know that I've had 3 lives as a Lakota warrior. And one of them, I was like an adjutant, an aide to one of the chiefs during the Battle of Wounded Knee. And I was a warrior that stayed behind and protected women, children, people who couldn't defend themselves. I'm aware of the fact that I've been a Dakota warrior at least once. I was also a Hopi elder one time. I'm aware of being like a noble of some type in like India, Pakistan kind of thing. I have memories of walking these walls and seeing people in certain dress that's indicative of how people looked way back when, back in India. So I've got memories of living a few lives here on Earth. I also know that, interestingly enough, in between my Lakota lives, I was what would be called a mixed breed, African American, Caucasian, a few other things, and I was like a buffalo soldier in the Texas area, and got some severe payback for some abuse that I was causing to a female Native American woman in that area. And apparently I was so abusive that one day when I was coming back with the guys, I was doing some drinking and I was kind of like semi out of uniform. One of her brothers or cousins shot me in the back. And they threw me, and I've seen this dream a couple of times, this vision. There I am, this beard stubbled, unshaven, slovenly, half drunk, colored man being thrown in the back of a buckboard, shot in the back, dead. And I got what I deserved. Based on what I understand, how I was treating that Native American woman, I got exactly what I deserved. So it's amazing to learn about some of your lives, some of my lives. I haven't always been kind, caring, responsible. But it's I guess that's the way of life on this planet. You make choices in each lifetime. So it's been interesting. It's been an interesting 4-year ride since 2010 when I started waking up to all of this information.
That seems a little out of character for you to be living a life like that.
I was very surprised. Well, I asked them because I had this dream. I think probably by the 3rd time I said, "Hey, what is this experience?" And so I described it to them in detail, in far greater detail than I described it to you. And they said, "We'll get some news for you. That was you." And that was you. You were like a Buffalo cavalry soldier, and you were part of a contingent of mostly African American men that were stationed in the desert Southwest, somewhere like West Texas somewhere, and that's where the Buffalo Soldiers were. And you were abusing, in those terms, this squaw. And you got what was coming to you. I said, yeah, I sure did. If I treated her the way you're telling me, then I absolutely got what was coming to me. That's the only negative experience that I've learned about.
So
I'm sure I've had many. I think I've probably had many, many, many other lives, as have other people on this planet. And from what I understand, when the actual transformation, some people call it ascension, when the higher density transformation of this planet happens, for the people who choose to stay here, all of these memories are going to come flooding back. Every single one of them, every single lifetime, will get complete recall.
When will that happen?
It's not a matter of date or time. It's a matter of events that will transpire. I think, I honestly believe that we are coming into a time right now, which is the beginning of a number of more severe Earth change events. There's likely going to be a combination of Earth change events and or a single cosmic event, which will kind of be the trigger, and actually the momentary precursor to the higher density transformation of this world. And I've addressed this a number of times with a number of different people, but it is much more. It is actually categorically event driven. It's not date driven at all. But I do believe we're in that era of time, for lack of a better word, that this process is beginning. I think you'll see it continue throughout 2015.
Do you see anything like a economic crash? Any like Yellowstone going off, like a nuke exploding in a city, or anything like that?
I'm aware of numerous occasions when either our people, meaning one of the members of the Andromeda Council, I know that the people of Procyon did it a couple other times, where they or other of our people had, we'll say, either caused to be made disappeared or caused to be made malfunctioned, or just obliterated, just gone. Nuclear warheads that were fired either from submarines or from military bases that were where orders were executed by people who shouldn't have been executing the orders. And again, our people or other benevolent ETs have already shut down any potential for nuclear warheads going off.
Tolec, sorry to interrupt you. I've got another caller here. Do you want to take another call real quick?
Oh, sure.
Okay. 480, you're on the line with Tolec. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good.
I just joined in. I heard him talking about the council, and I know some of what he's saying basically is true. I'm part of the Nibiru Council. So, like I said, I just joined in. I don't really know exactly what y'all talking about, but I just like to have my mic open so I can jump in and out if y'all don't mind.
Okay, your mic is open.
I'll throw a question your way, because I always like to find out if other people are hearing information that, at least in concept, is somewhat similar to a lot of the stuff I've been hearing. What are your people telling you relative to Earth changes, events that are coming in terms of the higher density or higher dimensional transformation of this world and the solar system, for that matter? Are you also hearing similar information?
Yeah, we know that I don't know if you're familiar with Nibiru.
Well, yeah, I mean, yes. As a plant, I'm familiar with Nibiru in terms of what it's done and where it's gone and who's from Nibiru or Nibiru, however you decide to say it. I know of its status. So go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm a Nibiruian, so
okay.
We have people on board, agreeable, like you said, benevolent and malevolent. We have different races on Nibiru.
That's true.
Resistians. Yeah. There's Resistians on there, people who come from the planet Risk. Nirvana, there's people from Nirvana on there. So it's a lot of races and stuff on there. As far as the Earth changes, we already having the pole shifts are happening, the earthquakes are happening. So I don't know how far y'all got into it, but yeah, we definitely know that a lot of that's coming by way of Nibiru, and it happened before, and it's going to happen again.
That's true. It is a cycle. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thanks for your feedback. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to stay on the line and just finish listening to you if I hear something.
Okay. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So, Tolec, you've been up on the ship, but it was your spirit form, so to speak, your spirit form that was up on the ship in the biosphere lately. But when you're up there in your spirit form, they can see you as a physical person, but not how you look on the Earth, how you look on the planet Dakote.
Right. And the optimal, to use an optimal description of what they would see, they'd see somebody who's approximately like 32, 33, 34 years old at the oldest. And that's because in a fine essence matter form, you can choose to manifest whatever look that you want to. And generally, the human form at age 32 or 3 or 4 is probably at its physical peak. So generally, when people look at higher dimensional people, upper 4D, 5D, they're going to see if the human or humanoid form is what they were originally birthed in, then that's what they'll see. As I'm sure your listeners are aware, there are a lot of humanoid forms. There are some that are insectoid. There are some that are James Gillian. Matter of fact, he and his people, they're cat, they're feline looking. There are some that are more lion looking. There are some that are insect looking. There are some, of course, as we know, they're reptilian. So there are all types of humanoid forms, and apparently the humanoid form is the most prevalent throughout the cosmos. Now, interestingly enough, I was having a conversation with Mark Kimmel. Probably one particular conversation about a year ago, and he said, I've just learned that there are all of these, and he calls them celestials, and the celestials are ones that have never taken an organic form. They've never lived a 3D organic life like you and I are doing. He said there are like 99% of the life forms out there that are higher density and higher dimensional that aren't even aware of us as organic humans. Sort of like, imagine if you're a jet screaming along at 3,000 miles an hour or some obscene number faster than that. Would you really see something on the ground that's moving as slow as a turtle? Probably not. Like, well, that's what it's like. That's the best analogy I can give. They're moving along at such a rapid frequency. It's kind of like the difference between a low C and a high G note. It's not only frequency, but it's tone. It's the difference between a low bass tone and a high note. Only in this case, the higher frequency people, for the most part, really aren't aware of what the organic people are doing. Like 99%. Wow. And he said there's thousands, maybe millions of people that have that existence. In all of my learning, I've also learned that, for the most part, from the very upper echelon of 5D and up, 60, 70, 80, 90, these people can choose to manifest a form, but for the most part, they are energy beings. And so, for all the people that are out there and have said, I've seen these orbs of light, these orange orbs or these multiples of these little blue orbs, for the most part, they are seeing 6D. The upper 5D or 6D or 7D beings that are just visiting. They're saying hi. They're likely not ships. They're simply beings that that are just observing us. There's a plethora of life out there. It's amazing.
Do you want to? I added more time to the show. I didn't know if you wanted to go over an hour. Would you like to take a break for 4 or 5 minutes and use the restroom, get something to drink? I can play some music or whatever. Or do you want to just roll with it? I'll
leave that call up to you. I'm okay. If you want to keep going, I can keep going. I'm fine.
Okay. Well, I'll mute you and the other fellow that wanted to talk as well. I'll play some background music for about 3 or 4 minutes, and then folks can go to the restroom or get something to drink, sure. and then we'll come right back. Folks, you're listening to Ohio Exopolitics. I've got Tolec on the line. It's been a while since we've talked with him. I'm glad everyone showed up on short notice. We're going to take about a 3-minute break, and we'll be right back. Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome all of you back to Ohio Exopolitics. I'm your host, Mark Snider. We've got Tolec on the line. I thought Tolec was on a long hiatus, but evidently he's been pretty busy. He's been up on the ships. He's been giving us a little update on what's going on here on the Earth and what's taking place as far as this dimensional shift. Tolec, are you back with us?
Still here, absolutely.
Did you have anything specifically that you think the listeners would find interesting? Have you been watching any of this information about Jade Helm? Have you heard about that at all?
I have heard one question from one person asking about it, and he said something about it being a kind of like paramilitary operation being conducted by the federal government somewhere in Texas, I guess. And I try not to get into discussions about this kind of stuff because my expertise is really that of the Andromeda Council, the Galactic Alliance Council, whatever words we want to use, and what are they doing in concert with what's going on in planet Earth. I try to keep the focus of my work cosmic, planet as it relates to the evolution of this planet, and so I don't get into really a lot of questions and answers about, well, what about the people of, I don't know, the Ukraine, or what's going on in France. I don't, I try to stick to what is my area of expertise. So that's a long answer to that question.
So your last trip on the ship, how long were you up there?
Okay. Good question. Has two parts. Given how we measure Earth time, based on Earth time, I was gone just minutes, literally minutes. Based on how we would compare my experience up there, I was gone for about 2 weeks.
Wow.
Because as a higher density and or higher dimensional person, they can return us at any point in time. They could, as an example, they could say, okay, time to go. You got some meetings to go to, and it's 12:35 or 2:35 a.m. They could actually return me at 2:36 a.m. and I will have been gone 2 or 3 weeks. They could return me at 3:02 a.m. half an hour later, and I could be gone 2 or 3 weeks. Doesn't matter. They basically, these aren't the right words, but they use whatever software technologies that they have, and they go, okay, you're going back. They just send me back. I think if you were to talk to a room full of people like myself, people who have higher dimensional contact, they'll probably tell you the same story. Like, oh man, I was gone for 6 days, or I was gone for 2.5 weeks. Bob Dean tells me that whenever he goes, he's gone for days, and he doesn't want to come back to Earth. They treat him really well.
So the time that passed here on the Earth may have been only minutes, but you could have been up there actually 2 weeks. Weeks.
I know that I've been up there one time close to months.
Is it difficult to come back here?
Boy, this answer has so many parts. I think this is an absolutely beautiful planet. This is just, it's got such diversity in its all shapes and forms. Whether we're talking about the plains of this country, the Midwest where you are, the Pacific Ocean, California, New England, it's just an amazing country. But I do find that my own ethics and values are not in alignment with how this world operates. And in this process, I'm learning a lot about myself as well. There was a part of my life throughout the 2000s where I was very high up in the global financial world, the global banking world. And I did it because I had some skill sets that were applicable for that world. And before that, I was like almost 18 years in the healthcare software industry. But my own resonance has never been about money. I'm not motivated by money. I'm motivated to help people, to help whoever it is I'm working for to make their day-to-day or their hour-to-hour lives easier, to do the work I'm supposed to. And so I find it difficult to be in a society that focuses on money all the time when that's not my motivation for life. And yet, if you're going to live on this planet, you have to make money, you know? So I know that's a longer answer than what you might have anticipated, but yeah, it's hard to live here. It's hard to live here.
Do you think we're coming with the changes that are coming? Do you still think we will be on a monetary system?
Good question. For anybody that's been paying attention to this topic, I believe that we will see a transition, certainly in this country and around the globe, and it's already happening. You know, because of the back channels I have, there's stuff going on all across the globe in the financial markets, both in Europe and in Asia. And from what I've learned, there is a major change coming. And to make a long story short, the use of the petrodollar, which means the use of the U.S. dollar as the means to transact all oil transactions across the globe all the time, that's coming to an end. The dominance of the United States U.S. Federal Reserve note, a piece of fiat currency that's been used for years, is likely to go away. And whatever the new U.S. dollar note is called, it will likely be backed by the assets of this country. Precious metals, precious minerals, natural gas, oil, paintings, sculptures, you know, the collective assets of this country will be what backs the new dollar, or whatever it's going to be called. I understand that I understand two things. One, there's going to be about a 10-year of transition of us being both organic and higher density / higher dimensional, that we will go from a money-centered economy to a service to others economy that has nothing to do with money at all. All the guys that I know up in the cosmos, the Galactic Federation is, if you will, the day-to-day management company of the member planets, both senior and junior member planets of the Andromeda Council, and they govern trade between planets, and they govern education, modes of conduct. There are all sorts of protocols and guidelines for the member planets of the Galactic Federation, which is a part of the Andromeda Council. And there's no money. There's no money out in space. It's all trade. It's all based on people from one star system and planet helping another. You have some of this, we need some of that. Oh, he's got a better school for this kind of discipline, we'll send our son or our daughter there. Hey, it's all based on a sharing cosmic society of mutual benefit. Money doesn't exist. And my understanding is that there will be once the transformation of this world to higher density takes place, there'll be a 10-year window of transition from where we are today, a money-based society, economic society, to one that's based on mutual benefit sharing of resources. About 10 years, as we measure time today. So that's the answer.
So when we go to a higher density, when we go through this transition, are we going to start being more responsible? Will we stop destroying the Earth?
This question also has a number of answers, but for the people who choose to treat each other kindly, treat animals kindly, treat the environment kindly, are good, kind people who choose to stay on this planet and want to live higher density / dimensional lives. I will believe that you'll see those people consistently behave that way. I understand, and this is a rough number, so I'll use this number as an approximation. I understand that out of all the people, if you will, souls that are on this planet today, about 50%, give or take 5% either way, are going to stay here on this planet through its transformation. And the rest of those souls are either going to choose to incarnate on another 3D world where they can have a similar Earth kind of experience. It will probably not be as difficult and as challenging. From our perspective, we here in the Western societies, the Canadas, the United States, the Germanys and the Englands of the world, we live quite well. But there are other countries that are either bleeding edge or just barely coming out of third world, and they have really, really difficult lives. I don't know who out of what total 100% are going, but apparently roughly 50% of the people that are on this planet, they're going to leave. They're just going to leave because they've been here like the original Atlanteans. They've been here for a long, long time, and they want another experience on another world. A bunch of those people are leaving. There are people who've been 3D on this planet for a long time that are they've had it with the many challenges of this planet. They're going to go to another planet. Some people are just going to choose to remain higher density people and go to other worlds and have completely different experiences because they want to. So to get back to answering your question, I believe that you'll see that the people who are already on the path of being good, kind people, stewards of each other, stewards of this planet, that they'll continue to act that way. And those people who want to evolve and to become, as other people say, more service to others, they'll do so, and they'll probably stay here.
So when the planet moves up to this higher dimension, it sounded like only 50% of the population were going up to this higher dimension, and the other 50% are going to go to other quote-unquote 3D planets, correct?
Right. Some are going to choose to emigrate, to literally, whether it's an Andromeda Council biosphere or some other benevolent ET large-scale craft. There's some people that will leave the planet in their 3D Earth human form as living, breathing people today, and they'll migrate, they'll emigrate off this planet and go to another 3D Earth-like planet. Other people, during this time of transition, when there's a lot of Earth changes, other people, their physical organic bodies will die, and their souls, their spirit essence, plural, will choose to go and incarnate on other worlds and live humanoid lives somewhere else. So it'll happen a couple of ways. I don't know if that answers your question, but it'll happen a couple of ways in terms of who leaves and how they leave.
So when the Earth goes up to this higher dimension, does the whole solar system also go up to a higher dimension?
Yes. Yeah, it's because of the area of space that this solar system is traveling through right now. It's a higher magnetic, higher frequency, very active, very dynamic area of space. And from others that know this topic far better than I do, I understand it's a cycle. Now, that having been said, apparently this is the first time that this planet's power source, which is the core of the Earth, it's the first time that it's transformed from being, I think, what was like a blue plasma. It's now it already is a higher dimensional, higher frequency particulate matter. The guys that are the scientists from SARSTA, the engineering biosphere, they call it SAR. And it's their way of saying you're in the process of no longer quite being an organic planet, and yet you won't be a star either. You're going to be migrating in form. And the end result is if organic humans in slow, dense metal material were in a ship heading toward Earth, sometime post the transformation of this world, they would likely see a lightly blue-tinted kind of crystal ball in space. Kind of what they would see. They would see kind of the outline of the masses of what's left of the Earth, of the land masses, of course rearranged, and they would likely see the color of the water, but will be in higher density form. So they're going to see a far more translucent, almost glass-like planet. And all the life on the planet will be higher density.
Well, that's very interesting. That kind of ties into what I was going to ask next, because I was wondering if our whole solar system would have almost seemed like it was disappearing to people that were at 3D, if they were, like you said,
right,
flying in a ship and they were looking at our solar system during this transition. They would see a metamorphosis, or some kind of change.
That's right. They would see change. I'm recalling something that I learned back in, I think it was December of 11. Even back then, I learned that our sun, which has been, we see kind of a yellow-white star up in the sky. It's a star by any other name. It has already begun the process of an upgrade, a density upgrade into becoming a blue-white star as compared to yellow-white. And after I got this information from my Andromeda Council contacts, I decided to just go on the web and do some poking around. Well, I had found some scientists who were saying the same thing. As a matter of fact, they not only said that, I found an article that came out of Russia that said that a number of Russian scientists were tracking what was going on in our solar system. I'm going to paraphrase. They basically said that the magnetism, the luminosity, the frequency of all of the planets, and the temperature also of all of the planets in the solar system has gone up appreciably and continues to go up. Now, the last one is interesting to note because temperature addresses what people have ubiquitously called global warming. Well, I and other people have learned that the changes that are taking place on this planet, which some might call global warming, the global warming is a reality, but it's not because of a preponderance of carbon dioxide that we as man are spewing to the environment. That amount is infinitesimally small compared to the organic change that's happening to the solar system, this world. Everything is raising in the frequency, and therefore also in temperature. And so not only is this planet going through a bump up, but all the other planets are as well. And I don't know how they did it, but these Russian scientists had been able to measure luminosity, magnetism, a number of other criteria, including temperature. Said all the planets are raising. Wow, this is interesting.
So, when the Earth goes through this transition, and when it raises into this higher density, are we going to see forests like we do now, and animals like we do now, and are the cities going to look the same, or are things going to look different to us at 4D?
Good question. It's my understanding, based on what I was told years ago, that any synthetic materials that are on this planet today, the chair I'm sitting on, anything that is metal, plastics, lucite, and the list goes on and on. Cars, computers, roads, highways, all of it. All of that synthetic man-made material is just going to dissipate like dust. As the transition is happening, at the moment of transformation into becoming a higher density / higher dimensional world, all of the things that are synthetic will just dissipate like dust in the air. And what we will see as sentient, intelligent living beings on this planet are life forms that we haven't seen before, because they've been out of the visual range of the frequency that our eyes are used to seeing, that these organic eyes are used to seeing. We'll see new creatures we've never seen before. Why? Just because we didn't see them. We couldn't see them. We'll see many of the plants and the trees and the shrubs and grasses that have existed here before. They'll simply bump up in frequency. They'll be here, but we'll see some that we'd never seen before. We'll see creatures we had never seen before. But yeah, it's my understanding that all the synthetics will just go away.
So your dog, your cat will make the transition with you?
Yes. Yeah.
But your house and your car won't.
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. Now, is there a downside to that? Well, only if you really like the house you live in, or you really like the cars you have. Because from what I understand, and again, this is based on what they've told me about this time of transition, we will be receiving, and I know this other people are talking about this as well, we will be receiving higher density / higher dimensional technologies, which will enable us to manifest homes. I don't know if car will be the right word, but homes, cars, bicycles, food, clothing. How about that? Money won't matter. You won't need money anymore. We have the kind of technology that you can manifest whatever you need. Some of it will be able to manifest from our own higher dimensional density minds. We'll be able to manifest things on our own. Other things will need technology to do it. But we will be given technology so that we're not kind of, hanging out there in the cold going, everything's gone. Oh, I'm naked. What am I going to do? So yeah, they said there's, and our people and other people who are affiliated with other councils or groups have all talked about. We will be given access to much more incredible technology, and we'll have finer, cleaner, better ways of living, and that's all true. Yeah, without a doubt. At least based on what I've been told.
And I imagine then the government as we know it would cease to exist?
Oh, I not only think that this U.S. government, Canadian, European countries, there's still the Earth changes are still going to create change to this planet. Now, maybe not as difficult or as, I don't know what word to use, but maybe not as traumatic as was originally planned, but for people who are talking about a positive timeline and an easier way of becoming a higher density, higher dimensional world, my understanding is that it's going to be easier, but there's still going to be changes to this planet, and lands will fall, lands will rise, water will change. My understanding is that physically there are going to be a lot of changes to this planet. And if you look at it from the term of someone who is a higher density person, the slice of your soul essence that animates your body, if you look at it from that perspective, then you can go, okay, then this is simply an evolution. If you look at it from the perspective, and that would be like a higher dimensional or higher density perspective. If you look at it, the changes coming from the perspective of I'm a 3D organic person, and I'll use a Western religion reference. I'm a 3D organic person who was baptized, and there is purgatory and heaven and hell, and I've got this one lifetime, then I'm going to be afraid. Those people are going to be afraid. Those are the people that will have the most difficult time making this adjustment. Because for all of those people, they're going to be seeing changes that they could never even conceive of on this planet.
So I take it then religion is going to change dramatically.
Ultimately, yes. I believe that there will definitely be a time of long-term transition regarding that concept of what is capital G-O-D, God, or what is Creator. I have my own version of what I believe, but everybody has a right to what they believe as well, and there is definitely going to be an education process about which religions were created, who created them, who instituted them, why? Because they're humanity. They're man-made institutions, made for a lot of reasons, including money and control. So that's going to be one hell of an education for a lot of people on this planet. I also believe that for the people that focus on self-enlightenment, self-awareness, people whose path of spiritual exploration is much more Eastern in its references, like Hindu or Buddha. I think those people will have a lot easier time making this transition.
Tolec, we've I don't know where we are or how we burn up 90 minutes already, but we sure did. Is there anything? Is there anything that you wanted to tell the listeners about specifically, your website, or are you speaking anywhere or soon or anything like that?
Well, let's see. Well, first of all, if people want to learn information about the Andromeda Council, what it is exactly, its composition, what role it serves, it's a multiple-page website. It's got 4 years plus of information on it, and the website is Andromeda Council. In this case, council is COUNCIL.com. Any of the conversations or interviews or panel discussions that I've been on are available on the Andromeda Council YouTube channel, which is called Tolec, Tolec, from Dakote, Dakote. That's the name of the YouTube channel. For people listening, I'd have to say, live your lives. Do the things that you enjoy doing. Research the information that you feel is important to you. Spend time with your family and friends. Whoever means the most to you in your life. Because the evolution of this planet, it's going to do what it's going to do. There's nothing that we as Earth humans can really do about it. Is it helpful to be positive? Is it helpful to be kind and loving and to help other people? Yeah, absolutely. But this planet's changing, and it'll continue to change. So just go ahead and enjoy your lives. That's about the best thing I can say. Whatever you're doing, make the best use of your time as possible. That's my best advice. I'm no guru, believe me. I've got my own life to live, but yeah, live your life. I don't know if that's the kind of question you're asking about, but that's the comment.
Well, yeah, I think that does answer the question, Tolec, and I appreciate you coming on. It's been a while since you've been on the show, and we certainly enjoy talking to you folks. You've been listening to Ohio Exopolitics. I'm your host, Mark Snider, and we've been speaking with Tolec this evening, and we'll talk to you all later. Have a good night.